Okay, great. So thanks again, everyone, for joining the session, and appreciate you taking the time. It's going to be another 44 minutes or so. We will go through a few slides. I won't spend much time on slides, and then switch to a demo of how our solution actually works. And the idea here is that, as you can sort of read the tagline, chat with your infrastructure, right? Just like you can use ChatGPT to do your normal general chats, right? Or Claude for coding. We have actually created what we call Wanda, right? Which is our agentic AI system that is used to help manage IT and cloud infrastructure, right? Um, and we will go through the details of that in a little bit. So if you look at basically IT operations in general, right, it's 100 billion problem, right? Many of the customers that we interact with, and I'm sure that as you manage your environments in the IT or cloud domain, there is tons of noise, right? And the biggest thing is you end up basically having a lot of dashboards, a lot of tools that you deploy to manage your environment. And the problem is apparent, actually, the amount of money that you spend to manage the environment. So for a general rule of thumb is for IT operations and security, for $1 that you buy to procure your infrastructure, whether it's in the cloud or IT, you tend to spend $3 to $4 in managing it. And this $3 to $4 is basically also the people cost, right? Because you need expertise to help manage an environment, and also tools and logging, monitoring, and other security tools that you require. To some of these tools are obviously essential, but tools in and of itself does not solve a problem, right? And oftentimes what happens is engineers basically spend more time watching dashboards, right, and managing tools rather than really solving the problems. So our answer to this is, what we are saying is, what if your infrastructure could answer questions directly, right? No middle layers, no expensive outside consultants, no fluff, right? You just ask a question, whether it's related to your infrastructure resource optimization. You want to really look at your attack surface from a security perspective, whether you are experiencing a problem with respect to your database. So here is where Wanda basically comes into the picture, which is our agentic AI solution. Think of it as basically your always on engineer, uh, with multi-domain expertise, and it connects to basically your whether you have on-premise servers, VMware environment, network infrastructure devices, you have Kubernetes or Red Hat OpenShift. You can have VMware type environment, or if you have environments in the cloud like AWS or Microsoft Azure and other such cloud environments. And on top of it, right, you may have SIEM system, like for security logs and management. You may have another logging or monitoring system like SolarWinds or Cisco Splunk, App Dynamics, etc. You can pretty much connect. Wanda sits in the middle. It's vendor agnostic. This is not yet another chatbot on top of existing solution. We connect to the infrastructure and also the monitoring and logging stack, and I'll kind of go through that. The result is basically we want the environment to be managed much more efficiently, increasing basically the reduction in how you manage and operate your environment, overall increasing the productivity by 3x plus. It's actually dramatically increases your productivity, right? And faster resolution to issues. So depending on basically your role, specific in the team or within the organization, if you are at the executive level, like a CXO, CIO, CTO, you can ask queries like, how can we optimize things? What are basically my security risks? At the operations level, you can dissect, complex problems, right? Whether your application is running slow or database is not behaving as expected. From a security perspective, assessing your compliance against certain standards. It could be like in the case of Saudi Arabia, NCA, ACC. It could be things like here in the US, we have HIPAA or SOC 2, Type 2, any other type GRC type compliance solution. You can assess your infrastructure or technical controls against that compliance. Then assessing basically threats. Threats could be even as simple as, ports that are open unnecessarily, or uh, you know, uh, there are basically other uh, areas like you're running very outdated softwares or packages, etc. You can actually create a full software inventory of what's running in your environment as well. If you are in, as part of a managed service provider, you're in pre-sales, etc. You can actually create designs, right? You can ask Wanda to help you. Like you connect to a VMware environment and say, hey, can you create a topology design for me for this environment, your current state. If you want to migrate to, for example, cloud from your on-prem, you can say, hey, I need to basically go to Google Cloud or AWS or IBM Cloud, um, and it will create an equivalent design for you. So, and it can play the role of cloud architect. And we also have a backup DR that we leverage in the case of migrations. So if you are migrating workload, let's say from VMware to Red Hat OpenShift, we can help create a journey for that into our and get you basically from your current state to let's say you go into Red Hat OpenShift, and then help you basically execute, right? So overall, the idea here is to lower, uh, the like I said, the overall operation speed, and make you basically better decisions, right? Overall, depending on your role in the organization. Okay, the way basically our solution is laid out, this is at a very high level. There is a chat interface, and then we have our agentic layer. So different agents, for example, for troubleshooting, for security, for backup and migration, we have agents for continuous optimization or expert Q&A, and they connect to the underlying infrastructure, which could be infrastructure on-prem, in the cloud, your networking and security equipment, your storage and databases, so on and so forth. And each agent has its own memory layer, persistent memory. And think of it as basically now becoming your companion. This is sort of your irreplaceable digital twin. So even as you go on vacation, you're out of the office, think of Wanda basically watching out for you, your environment. And you will have the ability to create scheduled tasks. Like you can say, hey, every morning, send me a report on the security state of my infrastructure, or every morning tell me what happened, what is the overall health of my environment, and give me an executive report or summary. You can create basically tasks like these where once a day, etc., or once in 24 hours, it can give you the state of your environment as well. Okay. Coverage wise, so we cover pretty much a whole gamut of infrastructure, from Linux, Windows servers to VMware, Hyper-V, KVM type virtualization environments, bare metal servers. If you have AI based deployments like GPUs, etc., like NVIDIA GPUs, or uh, any other vendor AI servers, right? We should be able to cover that, or if you have a containerized environment. Similarly, on the network and security side, where you have load balancers, firewalls, etc., we can connect to that. And more importantly, also, if you have existing logging monitoring solutions, so as long as it supports MCP, right? If there are MCPs that are already written, we will leverage them. Otherwise, we can actually work with you and create an MCP for a system, whether we need to connect to, let's say, ServiceNow or Splunk or SolarWind or any of these Datadog and so on and so forth. We should be able to connect to those using uh, the MCPs that are available. Um, we don't require like, hey, you need to rip and replace anything. So whatever you have, we'll try to basically seamlessly integrate with that. So one important thing that with this slide that we want to share is that you may have questions like, hey, for example, XYZ company, like maybe Dynatrace has a chatbot or Grafana has a chatbot. So this is not another chatbot kind of layered on top of the data. So you already have tools, right? And then if you go by that logic, you will end up having a lot of chatbots, right? Chatbot for every vendor that you have, chatbot for every monitoring system you have. So the differentiator of Wanda or Agentic AI is that it's flexible and we're agnostic. We don't care what systems are there, uh, where it's not a tool-centric approach. We want to make sure that you create you sit in the middle and you create a brain for your infrastructure, which has visibility across the board, and you can ask questions, uh, any aspect of your infrastructure that you would like or you are seeking answers to. So it's more operation-centric rather than particular tool centric, right? And away from basically you already have dashboards and very fancy tools, but that doesn't in and of itself solve the problem, right? So where we are coming from is to make sure that you are able to chat with your infrastructure kind of open-ended, right? And ask anything and everything that's on your mind. Okay. Uh, just overall, I'll then switch to the demo. So our overall value proposition is that, your time to resolution, we want to improve that by 90%, right? Because we have, visibility across the board. So there is no finger pointing where the application guys are saying, hey, it's a network problem. Network problem are saying it's a security, system issue, or it's a database issue. So there is no finger pointing. There is no multiple people getting involved, like in IT war rooms. Uh, you can pretty much look across the board to all the systems, and if there is a problem, you can say, hey, why did this thing happen, or why did my database go down, or why is my application behaving strangely. You will be able to look across the board. Um, you can reduce your cost by 20 to 40%, improve security posture, increase your overall team productivity by more than 3x, right? So the idea here is that with your existing engineering staff, with your existing operation staff or security, you can increase your productivity to get a lot more out of your existing capacity. If you are planning to migrate to cloud, like you know, we work closely with some of the hyperscalers. So whether it's AWS or GCP or Microsoft Azure or IBM Cloud, we are here to basically help you accelerate that journey. And we have very deep partnership with some of the hyperscalers like IBM Cloud, AWS, etc. And we have partnership with GCP as well. And things that usually will take hours or days, you can kind of generate those things in a matter of minutes, whether it's proposals, architecture diagram, documenting the current state of your network. Uh, it basically you're going across the board. So uh, as WAN clouds, as I mentioned, we already have been very, very active in the enterprise space. Our journey started initially many years ago or several years back with cloud migrations and digital transformation. And we have taken that journey now to helping customers with AI and agentic AI solutions to help transform the both the migration journey as well as the ongoing day two operation of your environment. Um, I will skip this. We're ready to also partner, so the solution is available directly, as well as it can be offered as a white label if you are part of an MSP, which is a managed service provider. And for large enterprises, we are also open to working directly to deploy the solution. Our solution itself can be deployed anywhere as a private instance. You can sign up for it today, but this can also be spun as a private instance. And if you have your own LLM, a large language model, like a Kimi K2 or some of the ones that we have already tested with, we can actually leverage that. Uh, MIMO, and there is like various Quen, these large models. We can actually work with those and deploy it as a sovereign, uh, deployment in your own on-premise setup as well. Okay. So this is part of our presentation. As I mentioned, our website is vanclouds.ai. You can reach out to us here as well. And I'll switch to the demo mode. So just bear with me. Excuse me. I have a little bit of cough here, so just wait. Okay. So this is basically how our website is that I was just sharing with you. You can see my screen, Noman, right? You guys can see it?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
it's
Okay,
coming.
great. So this is our portal, right? And our company website. You can also, sorry, let me go through this. This is our company website, which is similar content and a little bit more is available on this as well. But if you go to register, or this solution, as I mentioned, can be deployed as a private instance with your organization and name, so it can be privately deployed. And once you sign up, right, what you will basically see is an interface like this, right? Once you sign up, now I'll explain this a little bit, right? Here on the left side, when you go to settings, you can also change language, right? So if you would like to switch, you can do that. Secondly, as far as the environments are concerned, you can start adding your like servers or Kubernetes or environment directly here. We have a proxy, right? So you can deploy this proxy, which could be on a Linux machine. And through that proxy, if this application is deployed directly in your environment or has a VPN, then you can add the devices with direct access or via proxy, right? Secondly, you can connect your environment like, some of the clouds, etc., that we have added here. If you have VMware, for example, that we already support, you can add VMware environment. And then we have, MCP servers. And this is just kind of the two examples that we have added, AWS CloudWatch or SolarWind. But if you want, you can pretty much connect to any remote MCP as long as the server is deployed and you have its configuration. You can paste it here, and connect to that server. Third, you can actually upload your knowledge base as well. So if you have compliance documents, you have some operational manuals for your organization, and any other procedures, etc., or knowledge base, you can upload that here about your organization. Um, Once you have these things added, you can go and create your assistant, right? So creating an assistant is pretty straightforward. You just name your assistant, and you can create multiple assistants, right, for different environments. So you can name it whatever, right? My assistant um, for VMware, I'm just naming it whatever, right? Like giving it a long name. You can give it description, which will be used also in as part of its context. And then you can just do it as a chat only, or you can, these are some environments that we have added. So you can pick the environment like VMware, etc., that you have added, or you can go to MCP only mode as well, right? And once you do that, you can then go enable troubleshooting, etc. I won't go through basically the next steps, but it's pretty much 2-3 steps. It takes less than a minute, and you can be up and running. So we have created some assistants already that I'll start to use them. Other things that I want to share with you is data control. You can delete all your chats, you can archive them, you can export, you can do pretty much, you have control over your data. We have done some integrations for notifications and alerts, etc., with Slack, email, uh, and you can, once you sign up, a workspace is created, and you can actually invite other people into your workspace as well. I hope this all makes sense. And then you can then go to chat, right? So as I mentioned, we have already created some assistants here, right? So here is a VMware environment, right? And I can, and just also for your information, uh, I have two environments here that or two. One is our kind of dev instance for demos, etc. The other one is our prod instance. So I can just use interchangeably both, and uh, we'll basically play around with both just for timing, from a timing perspective. So here it says basically I'm your infrastructure manager, blah blah blah. I can help you view and analyze your VMware virtual machines, host resources, check health, performance, troubleshoot issues, operation and analysis, generate topology diagrams, review configurations for you, analyze resources on the security side, run security assessments, check compliance against whatever, NIST, PCI, this blah, 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 review security posture, and, identify risk. The current environment, it says I have VMware infrastructure with 46 VMs, one host, one data store, and 5, standard switches discovered. Okay, can you tell me the utilization of my VMware environment? And while this basically is going to do whatever, it will just take a few seconds or a minute to analyze and provide us the response. I can actually switch here, and one on the dev side. What can you tell me which this one?
Demo prefix assistants you can use. The first one and second one.
This one?
Yeah. You can use the first one as well for the GCP environment.
Okay. Let me just use this one. And I'm just switching between the two, right? So you can actually also follow the thought process, right, on what it's doing and how it's going to analyze the resources and get the information. It has basically three. Can you, and we have some audience from the Saudi region, so I'm just going to say, hey, can you run an NCA ECC, which is the National Cyber Authority, right? Controls technical assessment for this infrastructure. And we have some Linux, Windows, etc. VM. So it's a real environment, and if things don't work, at least you will know, because this is real. Nothing is actually made up, and you can see the analysis that it's doing based on my question is to see how my VMware environment is actually utilized. And if you have any questions, start posting the questions as well. And if Nomi, if you can read off the question to me, that would be great, or read it off loud.
Sure, Faiz.
So one other thing that I want to mention, like here we are using, for LLM, we are using Anthropic. On this instance, we are using Kimi K2, and we have it tested with others as well, right? So as long as we have a large language model available with reasoning and tool, proper tool calling, etc., I think we'll be good. We can any other new ones we can test it as well. Okay.
In fact, you
So
can show the scheduled task as well on the dev instance. We have a pin chat for that, and
okay. So uh,
yeah,
here
this
this one.
one. Yes.
Okay. And I will come back to, by the way, this chat. You can look at your kind of chat history. This NCA ECC assessment is running, so we will let this run. But I think this chat was just run recently, and you can create a scheduled task in terms of CPU utilization for the environment. If you want to get like a periodic 24-hour report every morning, you can schedule it and say, hey, at 8 a.m., can you send me this report? I just want to see how things are running. You can also say, hey, every 12 hours, send this to me. But you can actually do live query like what I'm doing right now on the infrastructure. Yeah. And here, the VMware environment that I was just looking at, we said, hey, can you just look at the utilization? And it's looking at basically the total memory used, CPU, blah blah blah, metrics. Total capacity is 7 point whatever terabytes. Use space, free space is this much. I mean, it's like almost 97% utilized. This is our lab environment, so as you can imagine, it's pretty heavily. We use it to max. And like, if you are curious to see which resource is actually using most, so there is a Windows server, right? Win19 DC that is using or grabbing most of the memory, right? So you can kind of see utilized current state. Key observation: storage is almost critical constraint. Memory is high. 14 powered off VMs are consuming storage, but not compute resources. CPU overcommitment, 3.7 to 1, is within normal VMware recommendations. It will also give you recommendations and priority. And by the way, this system, we have done it for safeguards. We have made it read only for now, so it does not make changes. And the reason for that is obvious, as you can imagine. We don't want people to just start say, hey, clear my database, delete this. So we have safeguards in place where it will remain in read-only mode. And also for US data privacy or GDPR or privacy compliance, the interactions we are having with models like Anthropic or Kimi K2, we have a privacy layer that will redact like PII type data if somebody enters their credentials, or even though all of that actually remains safe, we have secret managers, etc., where none of that is shared with LLMs anyway. But even by mistake, if people enter their passwords or credit card or home address, that will get redacted as we communicate with the LLM. So we don't basically share that data with the LLM. Um, Here, the NCA, this is the National Cyber Authority in the case of Saudi ACC controls. It will basically, for these three machines that we have, key findings, and it will go through each and every one in detail: service status, network connectivity. It's a lab system, so that's why we don't have like backups, etc. Issues detected are syslog action, suspension, 10 warnings, SSH key exchange errors. Then this is a View iOS and open source firewall, right? It basically goes through the health of and the status of that firewall, network connectivity. Then for the Windows system, right? It goes through and it kind of scores it, right? Process health, etc. Infrastructure management capabilities. So these are the cyber authority controls that it will actually map it against that, and it will issues and recommendations, right? It will create those as well. Evidence, right? 85% full assessment on 2 of 3 devices. One of the devices not reachable to it via SSH. I believe this may have skipped that, but you can see kind of the types of analysis you can do against your infrastructure. And I think where were we here on the VMware side? Then no, I don't know which other on-prem environment we had here. I think.
So on the prod, we have on-prem above this assistant you selected, just above that assistant. Yes,
Okay, I
this
think
one.
it's probably the same. Uh, uh, I think it's the same devices we are playing around with here. And one other thing that I will uh, say here is, can you?
And there is a pin chat in the prod instance for the classic environment. You can
Yeah.
see the topology diagram and cross migration from IBM Cloud Classic to IBM.
Okay. I just I know we have about 10 minutes, so can we open it up for any questions, etc.? We're more than happy to continue. Like, you can run so many things. I know we have a very short period of time, but I'm hoping you get a pretty good idea of the capabilities of what's possible with this. And frankly, I personally have been in the industry. Uh, I spent 17 years in Cisco, and then post that, helping building WAN clouds, and I've, as an engineer in my back in the days, the amount of time we would spend on doing these things, you can literally now just type and get your answers, right? And the system we have built, we have taken care of the privacy, safeguards, security elements, right? And we have made it flexible from a deployment, etc., perspective as well. So build a topology diagram here. Here we're I was asking just for the health of the um, environment that I have against this assistant. So you can see that you can create multiple assistants and give each assistant its tools, its access to the relevant infrastructure, and it will take it from there. So you can see here the health. This window is a little bit warning state. It has very high memory, right? And it will also then give you recommendations on clean up, expand secondary volume, which is 84% full, and memory usage is very, very high, right? Here, it basically created the diagram, right, for the infrastructure, the VMware side. So you can, from solving issues to asking it to do things, now it is really your companion, and it will build history, right? All of this is in memory. So, you can come back to these chats, you can come back to the assistant actually remembers what, how you have been leveraging it, using it. So, and it keeps basically building its understanding of your environment. Okay, I will stop sharing, and I know this will be there will be recording for this as well, and feel free to reach out to us. As I mentioned, we have our website. You saw the portal, which is I provided in the chat, and we'll take it from there. So I'll give you back 1 or 2 extra minutes, but if nothing else, we can. Okay. Any other question, comment? If not, we're like 2-3 minutes over. I'll stop it now. And we're going to repeat this session at 11 a.m. California time. That will be, I think, 9 p.m. Saudi time. So anyone else, you can recommend it to your friends, or 10 p.m. probably Dubai time. So feel free to join and have your friends join in that session as well. There'll be a repeat of this. Okay. Thank you so much.